Blog Talk Radio.
But we are making a stand, and we're waking everybody up that 9/11 was an inside job. And you are the minority. You are the cowards who don't know the truth. You're the people that serve this evil system. You're the people that serve a system that hurts innocent men, women, and children. Not just Iraqis, not just Afghans, not just Africans, but the people right here in this nation. You serve a new world order that attacks and feeds on you. And I'm here to tell you that you will be defeated. Your hours are numbered. We've got the energy. We've got the life force. All you've got is evil backing you up. All you've got is greed and liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Because deep down, the New World Order is a pot-bellied, chicken-necked ninny. And all the armor and all the weapons are nothing. You are nothing compared to good. You are nothing compared to life. And you will be defeated. I want the individuals out there, I want free humanity to turn themselves loose, to cut the chains loose, and to use the end of that chain to slap the New World Order right upside the head. You've got the power. You want to know who can defeat the New World Order? It is you. You're the individuals that are going to be able to defeat this system. You're the individuals that are going to be able to take down the New World Order. It doesn't matter if Ron Paul wins. It doesn't matter if they rig the election. What matters is that we're starting to stand up. We're starting to move. We're starting to find our legs. We're starting to build our muscle. We're starting to realize that we do have power, and we can work together, and we can take action, and that the naysayers are a pack of weak liars who have never had any successes in their life and who are upset and frustrated to see us beginning to have victory against tyranny. They don't have any respect for themselves. They don't have any vision, and they don't have any will. And they sure don't have any of the power that shines out of God's soul and energizes all life in the universe. They have wed themselves to death. And they will crumble, and they will fall, and for eternity, we wed ourselves to life, and to everything good, and everything.
All you ever hear about in this country is our differences. That's all the media and the politicians are ever talking about, the things that separate us, things that make us different from one another. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They try to divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money. Fairly simple thing, happens to work. You know anything different, that's what they're going to talk about. Race, religion, ethnic and national background, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything you can do, keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank. You know how I describe the economic and social classes in this country? The upper class keeps all of the money, pays none of the taxes. The middle class pays all of the taxes, does all of the work. The poor are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class. Keep them showing up at those jobs.
They're all the same. I'll show you politics in America. Here it is, right here. I think the puppet on the right shares my beliefs. I think the puppet on the left is more to my liking. Hey, wait a minute. There's one guy holding up both puppets. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control.
I have this feeling, man, because you know there's a handful of people actually run everything. That's true. It's provable. It's not I'm not a conspiracy nut. It's provable. Handful, very small elite run and own these corporations, which include the mainstream media. I have this feeling who's ever elected president, like Clinton was, no matter what your promises you promise on the campaign trail, blah, 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 when you win, you go into this smoky room with the 12 industrialist, capitalist scumfucks who got you in there, and you're in this smoky room, and this little film screen comes down, and a big guy in a cigar roll the film. And it's a shot of the Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. That looks suspiciously off the grassy knoll. And then the screen goes up, and the lights come up, and they go to the new president. Any questions?
I appeared before the Congressional Committee to tell what I knew of activities which might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it. And he took the step without approval from either the U.S. Congress or the people of the United States.
The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret.
It's known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
I'm Jim Tucker. I've chased Bilderberg for 30 years. I'll never give up the chase. Bilderberg's plan for the whole world is nothing less than world government.
I'm not comfortable with that at all. Who elected these guys to run the planet?
They are the elitists. They feel they should run the world for their own selfish interests.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
Bilderberg is making great progress toward a world government, and only an educated, informed public can stop them in their tracks.
David Rockefeller admits in his own memoirs that he wants to destroy the United States. He's a traitor!
It's good to be back at the Council on Foreign Relations. As Pete mentioned, I've been a member for a long time and was actually a director for some period of time. I never mentioned that when I was campaigning for re-election back home in Wyoming.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories.
I need you to move off the property, please.
Some shots were fired.
There's Bilderbergers right there.
The Trans-Texas Corridor is a vital part because we stop it here in Texas. We stop the new world order right here in Texas.
This thing started here. And to save this country, we kill this damn thing here.
There is a chance for the President of the United States to carry out a phrase his father used, and that is a new world order.
Your new world order will fall. Humanity will defeat you. The answer to 1984 is 1776.
All right, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? It's Joseph Gibson broadcasting from Greensboro, North Carolina. Hope everybody's doing well. I know I haven't been on for a couple shows here, but I've been in a little bit of a transition. I'm not going to go into details because of all the sickos out there. And we don't have too many callers on the line tonight. I did post the show last night. If people are a little angry that I didn't broadcast on Sunday, well, I'm sorry. Or if I didn't broadcast on Thursday, I'm sorry. I had some family matters to tend to and had to take a little trip to take care of some things. And but we're back now. And we do have a show scheduled for Sunday, and the Monday morning quarterback show will have its debut, excuse me, this Monday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Monday morning quarterback show. Okay, I apologize. I know we've had a couple of Monday morning quarterback shows that were canceled due to technical difficulties and my own personal difficulties in which I have things that must be tended to. I'm trying to start a business in a different location, and it's going to be a business/residential type of thing, and I won't go into any further detail other than that. However, it's very difficult to travel up and down the East Coast, especially with the way the highways are built and all the darn construction that seems to carry on from generation to generation and never gets completed. But so that's what's been going on with me. However, like I said, next Thursday I do have a very special guest from the state of Missouri scheduled to talk. This is not something that you should miss. This is someone who is a very spiritual person, has visions from the Lord, and actually is going to give you some real revelations. She's going to talk about God like you have never heard God talked about before. Okay? I've confirmed that she will be on next Thursday at 6 p.m. And she's not going to quote Bible passages for you. She's an analytical type of person. She's going to tell you things that you don't hear. Okay? Things you don't see on TV and things that you will not hear from the pulpit. Okay? Trust me. Just trust me. This female, I'm not going to broadcast her name yet until I type the full advertisement on the internet. I'll give her first name, Linda. I spoke with her a couple hours ago on the phone, and she will be live on this show next Thursday. This is a show. If you have questions about life and death, or if you have questions about aliens or mythical things like that, or if you have a spiritual, I guess you could say, spiritual questions about yourself, maybe some of you who are elderly out there, you're afraid to die, or you're afraid to go to the other side, or afraid to meet God, or if you just have questions, this will be a show you need to listen to. I know we've talked about the Bible in previous shows, and we've addressed controversial subjects and topics, but this is not going to be that type of show. You're going to hear a woman preach like you've never heard anyone before. And she's not a theologian. She, like I said, she's not going to be quoting Genesis, Ezekiel, Revelation, and telling you to bring your Bibles out. She's going to talk from the heart. So that's a show you don't want to miss. I don't know where many of my supporters are tonight. They're not on the line tonight. I wonder why. I don't see too many people on the line. Sorry, on the live caller line, I see about 10 people in the chat room. So I don't know really where to begin as far as the news and current events that are facing us today. But if anyone wants to chip in or call in, this would be your time to do so. I'm going to type a message right now. I wonder where Bridget in Reedsville is. If my friend there, Bitbanker, maybe could call Bridget in Reedsville there and find out where the heck she is, why she's not on the line tonight. That's got me a little bothered. I see Elizabeth Rondo on the line tonight. I don't know where Mike from Wisconsin is. I'm glad Tone's not here. We don't want to have another argument tonight. And I don't see Joe from Sebastian, Florida on the line, but I did not call him. And usually we used to we had an agreement where I would call him and tell him I was on the phone or I was on the show for tonight. So if anyone wants to chip in, like I said, but I do want to say hello to Elizabeth Rondo in Wallingford, Connecticut. I hope she's feeling well and doing well. I haven't spoken to her in a long time, and the past couple weeks actually. And I hope she's doing well. Maybe she'll check in tonight because there's not that many people on the line tonight. Basically, what I want to do is right here is I want to take basically like 30 seconds here to gather some information up, and then I'll give you the news and comments for today. Okay, so I just want to gather because, like I said, I don't see a couple people that I'm wondering where they are. So just bear with me for about 2 minutes, please, or about 3 minutes, and we'll get back live on the air, okay?
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at me right at this moment. Take a hold of his thumb and break it if you have to. We want to run our we are an instruction and we are defending immediately. Let's try our best.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington and Oakland, California.
They took the babies out of the incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Survivors of the USS Liberty are demanding a congressional investigation into what happened, an acknowledgement that the Israeli Air Force bombed a U.S. intelligence Navy ship.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
The Taliban is taking responsibility for shooting down a U.S. helicopter. More than 30 people were killed, and there are reports this morning that most of them are U.S. Navy SEALs.
There may be a false flag incident where some ship goes down and be used for the excuse to accelerate the next war.
If there's one thing that has unified Democrats and Republicans, and everybody in between, is that we all hated the bank bailout.
The Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
It comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
They estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the information war.
Okay, everybody, we're back. I'm sorry about that station pause there. I wanted to check on a couple of my supporters. But I see one of them's on the line tonight, Bridget from Reidsville, North Carolina. I wanted to check and see how she was doing down there because I didn't see her number. So I was just making sure everything's okay, and she was able to get through and patch through. So thanks for tuning in finally. Anyway, all right, well, I'd like to talk about something right now about the banking industry. I was with a friend of mine, and we were traveling, and he had notified if he wants to call in and tell his story, that'd be a great story to tell, but I'm going to tell it the best way I can. If I know he's on the line tonight, if he wants to press 1, he could tell the story. But we were traveling, and he notified his bank in a particular state that he was going to be traveling. And I see him right now. This is great because this is a very important story to tell because this concerns all of us. So I'm going to go ahead and connect him. Like I said, I have no scheduled guest tonight. But Bridget missed the intro. And next week we have a very faithful religious person that's going to be tuning in, Linda from Missouri. So you really need to pay attention to that show. I'll explain it more in detail through personal emails and conversation. That is a very important show. So anyway, I want to connect Bitbanker from Meriden because he has a story to tell about the criminal banking institution called Wells Fargo. So, hello, Bitbanker.
Good evening. How's everything this evening?
Very good. I'm wondering where half my supporters are, but I do see some of them on the line finally starting to come on. You know, when I'm not on the air, they email me and wonder what happened, but then when I'm here, I don't see them. But all right, but go ahead. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, they'll probably come in slowly. Yeah, this is regarding your your checking debit cards, your checking Visa cards. You know, the ones the bank issues you, the ones that are now coming out with chips on them that really can't be used anywhere. Well, a number of years ago, I traveled to North Carolina, and when I got there, I tried using my card to get some cash from an ATM, and the ATM swallowed up the card. And, of course, it was a weekend, and no one was at the bank, so I went without any money until the following Monday, went into the bank, and they happily fixed the problem for me. Well, I went down to North Carolina again. This time before I went online, and I filed my my departing dates and my returning dates and my locations with Wells Fargo. And then about 5 days later, I wandered on down to my local Wells Fargo bank, who they know me quite well. As a matter of fact, they know me quite well. They don't even want me coming in. And with the facial recognition software that they have nowadays, you can see them scattering when I'm walking in the door. Well, I spoke to Claudia in the Meriden, Connecticut, Wells Fargo. And after waiting a number of minutes for, she called me in, which is okay. I understand they're busy. So I sat down with Claudia, and I explained what I did, and she said that. And I had her check on her computer. And not only did she check on her computer and verify that the dates were correct and everything was in order, she called somebody. And when she was done, I leaned over. I didn't grab her or touch her, but I took my finger and I shook it in her face, and I said, Claudia, listen to me. I said, this has happened before, and it's not going to happen again, and that's why I'm here. And you're telling me everything is fine? It better be fine. Well, I went to North Carolina, and when I got there, I had no money and no food to eat. And I went into a local grocery store, and I went to the checkout to pay for my food. Card declined. Sort of pissed me off. Now, that was on a Sunday or a Saturday. But anyway, I went without eating for a day or two. And then I went into the local bank here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I believe it's Route 220. It's Battleground Avenue, I believe. I'm not too familiar with the area, but it is. And I went up to the counter, and I seen if I could take cash out of my account. And they did give me the cash, which made me happy. But now I have like $2,000 in $20 bills in my wallet. My wallet is bulging out of my pants and pulling my pants off my hip along with all the change and everything I've acquired. And I finally got in to speak with, I believe it was Nicole, if I'm not mistaken, on the Battleground office. And I told her she's going to get to know me quite well. And I spoke with her about the problem that I just mentioned, and she assured me everything would be okay. And she promptly called the debit card services or what have you who's going to fix this problem. They're asking me if I'm traveling with anyone. And like I told Nicole, what difference does that make who I'm traveling with? I'm coming down here, and I want access to my money. And she says, well, what states will you be going to? Nicole, it doesn't matter what states I'm going to. I want access to my money. It's my money. I want it. And she's going back and forth on the phone trying to set this up with somebody. They want to know if I'm going to Virginia. They want to know if I'm going to Tennessee. They want to know if I'm going here. And it's all for my security, she says. And as I told her, it's not for my security. I pulled out my wallet, which is about 3.5 or 4 inches thick, and I said, this is how the bank is keeping me secure, walking around with so many $20 bills in my pocket so that I don't starve to death and I have enough funds to do what I want because I can't have access to my funds from Wells Fargo Bank. They want to know if I'm traveling to New York. So finally, after ripping her a new one and everything.
But Bitbanker, didn't Wells Fargo, Bitbanker, not to interrupt you on your story, but hasn't Wells Fargo been prosecuted lately for opening fictitious accounts?
Yes,
tell us about that.
Well, just in the past week, Wells Fargo, they had some sort of game going within a company, I think. and they had workers opening accounts in customers' names, creating fake PINs, creating fake addresses, fake ATM cards, and having them mailed everywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a $184 million fine was levied against them, but that's just off the top of my head, so I'm not really sure about that. But that's your banking industry, what they're doing.
Well, Bitbanker, tell me, what if you opened 300 fictitious checking accounts and stole hundreds of millions of dollars? Tell me, how many years you think you'd be sitting in a federal prison?
Yeah, well,
you know?
if you're a normal person, you really can't even open a checking account without going in there and basically giving blood, because they won't open it for you, and especially if you're not known in that branch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're an undocumented alien or immigrant, of course, hell, you don't even have to open an account. They'll just go behind the counter and give you the cash. Same with the food stamp cards and everything else. But anyway, as the story goes on, and I'm just about done, she finally processed so that I could use my card all along the East Coast, and I'd have access to my funds. And it's like I told her at that point, Nicole, you just don't understand, and neither does the bank. Last time I came down here, I don't know where I'm going. I ended up in Canada. Now the bank's going to keep me safe. I'm going to break down in Canada, and I'm still not going to have access to my money. And basically, that's the way that went. And, she apologized, and she thanks me very much, because that's her job, and that's what she gets paid to do, and they really give two craps about the customer.
Yes, and what's this about your security? What do they mean, this is for your security?
Well, I'm sure if someone got a hold of my card and they were traveling up and down the East Coast using it, this way they just turn it off so that it can't be used. First of all, it's a Visa card. It's supposed to have zero liability. It's what insurance is for, I think, for when something happens and you have to use it. It's not for my security. It's for their security, because they're not going to disperse any funds that they don't have to disperse. There's another bank in Meriden, Connecticut called TD Bank. People, if you have anything to do with TD Bank, stay as far away from that bank as possible. They advertise stellar customer service to you on the phone in their recordings, but let me tell you something. The people are very nice. The people are exceptional people. The banking policies are absolutely the pits. They will not give you your money back. They're going to make you wait till the last possible minute, and then they're going to deny it if they can, even though they're going to tell you all during the time that they're doing everything they can. Stay away from TD Bank.
Well, why? What do you mean, TD Bank? Because I know we have a couple of our supporters here on the line right now that use TD Bank that are from Connecticut. And you said they're as nice as possible. So what are you saying, that their money is unsafe at TD Bank, or their fees are unreasonable? I mean,
well, when you open a checking account, you get issued a Visa debit card. Visa has a $0 liability, basically, which means you're not liable for anything. And if someone uses your card and they go to TD Bank and report a claim, what they should do is issue you a provisional credit on the spot for the money. In other words, they put the money in your account, but they put a hold on it until they investigate. TD Bank does not do that. What happened to me is I went grocery shopping. Make a long story short, I may have mentioned it on a show before. I had to run my card through the terminal 2 or 3 times. Well, they charged me 2 or 3 times, the same dollar amount for the same purchase. TD Bank would not give me a provisional credit. I went to the bank 5 times. I went to the police station to file charges. TD Bank, at the end of the 10 days after promising me that they're going to give me my money back, it only amounted to about like $406. It's not a lot of money, but it's still $406. After the 10th day, they sent me a letter, and they said, "We're sorry. You'll have to go back to the merchant. We can't give you your money back." And that's when I went down to the police department. That's when I went down to the police department, and I told them, and they went to the merchant, and they told the merchant, and the merchant immediately gave me my funds back. But, as I said, it should have been all handled through Visa, because they have a $0 liability. They say you're protected. You're not protected. And if they ever turn these cards off or shut off the ATMs, you're all screwed because you don't have enough money in your pockets probably to fill up your tank.
Yeah, and tell me, the bank is already protected. So if the bank, say somebody uses your card, okay, and they steal $1,000, what happens to that $1,000, let's just say? Does the bank have to pay for it, or you pay for it, or whatever? What happens to that $1,000?
I really couldn't say. I would say.
Well, how is the money created? You know,
right? There is no money anyway. It's only numbers, and $1,000 to them wouldn't be a tenth of a penny to you. So that's nothing to them. But it's created out of thin air, and it's only numbers. There really is no money. And if the person did take cash out of an ATM somehow and they went back to a bank and paid a bill, the bank would just originate it to 10 times more than what the person spent. So they're actually making money.
What do you mean originate? What do you mean? I don't understand how originate. What they just poof out of thin air? I mean, what are you talking? How do they originate? It cut down a tree and make paper.
I can't quote exactly on banking principles and policies, but we're in a fractional banking system where if basically if you go in and deposit $1,000 into your checking account, at one time the banks were turning that $1,000 into $163,000 on their books that they could lend out. Do you really think these banks are buying these buildings and these desks and with their money or with the money of depositors? Come on, they're paying 0.1% interest, and it's a farce from the word go, and it's a good farce, and it's been working. But the thing is, it's getting out of hand.
Oh well, yeah. Every bubble has to burst. So, what we're talking about, some people say, what in the hell are you talking about? Others are saying, well, leave a good thing alone. Others are saying, who cares? As long as I still got my money. The bottom line is how to answer all three of those scenarios. Who cares? What's going to happen? What do you mean what's going to happen? In the end, we're all going to be screwed because you're going to lose your money, and the people who want to live every day saying who cares are going to suffer, and the people who say what if and so what, the government will fix it for us. No, they can't, because the Federal Reserve is a private entity that has nothing to do with the federal government, nothing, even though they call it the Federal Reserve, which is a deception in itself. The Federal Reserve is a deception. People don't really understand that. So, Bitbanker, what do you say to those people in those three scenarios that I'm talking about right now?
Well, we mentioned things we could do many shows ago when I tried to help John out of Wallingford actually produce a product from basically nothing. And as a young guy, he didn't see anything in that. All they have to do is get everyone onto these debit cards, these credit cards, and start pulling back currency somehow, have bank holidays, and just turn off the cards. What do you do then? You can't even get yourself a local
Well, that's what
bread.
I'm saying. How do we return to a sound currency, Bitbanker? What I'm trying to say is, you see, this is very important to everyone that's listening tonight. And we have a number of people in the chat room. We've got about 40 people listening on the phone line tonight. What do we say to these people out there who have got to survive with these Federal Reserve notes? What do we say to them? What's backing their dollar? What's backing their money? When the Federal Reserve shuts its doors, because the Federal Reserve, like I said, is a private company. It is not part of the government. And we all love money. We all need those Federal Reserve notes to barter with, because we're not allowed to barter with anything else or we'll be under arrest. Because we all know gold and silver really is the legal tender according to the United States Constitution. But if I walked into a gas station and said, I want to fill up my truck today, here's an ounce of gold or a quarter ounce of gold, they'd look at me like I was nuts and tell me, no, we can't accept that. And if I said, no, according to the Constitution, you have to, What would happen then? You know. So, what do you? I mean, what do you have to say about that?
How do we return to a sound currency? First of all, I think you have to look on where this is all coming from. Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. stands for District of Criminals, because that's what they're. They're all criminals. Just look what's going on with Hillary and Trump. You can't believe a word of anything. She was sick for Benghazi. She's sick now. She was sick. What difference does it make? It's always another scam. It's always another term. A sound currency. Everyone says buy gold. I don't think.
Well, anyway,
it's a good idea.
Hang on, Bitbanker, and I mentioned there was a bunch of people on the line. You know, if you want to get through and comment on even whether or not what we're talking about, or if you have a different subject to talk about, or if you're talking about something in the chat room, all you got to do is press the number 1, and I'll put you on. And even if you disagree with what we're saying, or if you hate me, or if you have a story you want to share, I'll put you on live on the air, okay? This is my friend Bitbanker from Meriden, Connecticut, and I'm broadcasting from Greensboro, North Carolina. So go ahead, Bitbanker.
To return to a sound currency, I don't know. Everyone says buy gold. I think it's a good idea to have precious metals, but you can't invest your life savings in gold because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if you're going to need it or not, and you're just guessing and hoping that the price is going to go up. But you should have something invested in gold. You should have something invested in silver. Any kind of scrap metal would be good to have. Aluminum cans, you could melt them down. You could always barter with them.
You know what I think the best thing to barter with if the economy was to collapse? Cigarettes and alcohol. You know, cigarettes and alcohol.
That's what they want. You're exactly right. Or aluminum cans, wood, boards, loaves of bread. Because when you bake a loaf of bread, you're essentially doing what the Federal Reserve is doing. You're creating something out of thin air. You're creating something from nothing. Yes, you got your time in there, but you're going to get your value for it. All you've got to do is keep their hands out of the pie.
Let me ask you this question. Look, we have all the controversy that's happening in the United States today. Everybody's screaming the end is coming. The economy is going to collapse. And, we're listening to the pastors of the churches saying Jesus is coming back. We're watching all these organizations out there create civil unrest. Now we have the new organizations popping up, Black Lives Matter, which are funded by George Soros. They have $100 million in their war chest to create civil unrest throughout the country. They hate Donald Trump, and we have a Hillary, who's going to be our next president. Everybody thought the end was going to come when Obama was elected, and here we are 7.5 years later, and guess what? Everything's just the same. And, yeah, prices are relatively the same. And the pastor who told me 20 years ago the end was going to happen today, it hasn't happened. So basically, aren't we just wasting time talking about what's going to happen, and it's never really going to happen? Just live your freaking life every day the best you can. Be a good person and do the best you can, and stop listening to these people out there and these conspiracy theorists and everything else. Or can we have another 9/11 on a larger scale? Or, listen, just hypothetically, actually, truthfully, when I was in 8th grade, we used to run nuclear drills in our school. We used to have a nuclear room where if there was a nuclear war, we'd go to a shelter in the school, and look what happened. There was never a nuclear war with Russia. So what I'm trying to say is just be yourself, live your life, and stop wasting your time worrying about what this criminal corporate government is doing every day.
Well, that's a good point, and you're absolutely right. But you can't live your life the way, shall I say, the younger ones are living it today. They get paid on Friday and they're broke on Monday. That's no way to run your life. But to go through life and be happy and buy the things you need and plan for tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, that's what you should be doing. In no time in history has any fiat currency ever survived the course of time. All fiat currency has always failed. We have the world reserve currency. That's what's propping us up. And you're right. It's been since basically the beginning of time. The end is near. The end is always near because no one knows. Well, no one knows that we know when the end is near, but when they want the end to come, it will come. And when we do have a world reserve currency, then that's where it'll go. What will happen to all the debt and everything? I haven't a clue. Are they going to forgive it, or are they going to transfer it?
It's all digital. It's felonious, like you said with food stamp cards and everything. It's all fake money. You know, they can shut it off. They can turn it on anytime they want. It's fake. You know, but even though it's fake, you walk into a store, they honor it. You know, so really it's not fake. So in the end, someone has to pay for those goods and services. Somewhere down the line, someone has to pay for those goods and services, right?
Yes, and you have to remember one thing, too. If there wasn't any debt, if there wasn't $19 trillion worth of debt, if you didn't owe the mortgage company money, if you didn't owe the car company money, there would be no debt. There would be no money because nobody would owe anything. War is big business. War creates big money, but not for you. So debt is a good thing from the government standpoint. They can make money off of debt. They couldn't make any money if there wasn't any debt. And the corruption of government goes even farther than the federal government. It's right to your local government. Your local government may say we're broke, but your local government has two sets of books, and they don't tell you about the second set because they've already got money spent.
Well, that's
10, 20 years
that's the comprehensive. That's the CAPA report, right? Where most people don't pay attention to the CAPA report.
The CAFA reports, that's right, because, you know, they authorize, you know, $3 million for snow removal, and then we get one storm that takes $5 million. Well, where does this money come from? Your local government just doesn't print it. What they do is they rearrange their budget. Maybe they're smart thinkers. Maybe they're good planners. But if that be the case, then they're not telling the people the truth from the get-go, which is the way it should be.
That's right. Well, BitBanker, I just want to say, you know, like I said, next Thursday is going to be a really great show with this individual, Linda, that I'm going to bring on. And if there's anyone else out there, you know, we have a lot of deep discussions on this program. I know in the past, like I said, we had Dr. Ventura on here a few weeks ago with the Black Jesus minister. He was on, and we need to readdress that subject in the future. I know you came on that night and had your comments, and we had Mike from Wisconsin on that night also. We need to readdress that subject, the theology debate here, where one individual is saying Jesus is black, and even the Bible clearly states he was a Jew. And we had a couple other cases also where we addressed some CPS cases. And I hope they're listening tonight. And if they want to give us an update on their cases, they're more than welcome to call in or press the number 1. I see a lot of numbers on my screen that I don't recognize. All you got to do is press 1, and you can voice your opinion, whether or not it's on the subject at hand, or if it's something you just want to blurt out or ask me my opinion or the individual I have on the line tonight. Because we will be getting ready to wrap this show up. We are scheduled for 46 more minutes, but I will wrap it up in 15 minutes unless I can get some feedback from the people on the line tonight or people in the chat room. So, and I know there are a couple people typing in the chat room that may have something to say. I know my other friend, Mike from Wisconsin, he didn't check in with me. So, I've got to. What I'm also asking is that Joe from Sebastian, Florida, he didn't check in with me tonight either. So, like I said, if anyone wants to type into the chat room a question or participate, or if you don't know the number to call in, the number is 657-383-0616. Press 1, and I will connect you live. And Joe and I here, Joe from Meriden, Connecticut, we are talking about the banking system right now. And Joe had a personal story that he talked about how he did not have access to his money or funds, and it pissed him off, basically. But, Joe, before I start getting ready to wrap it up, unless I start hearing some other views or opinions out there, what was the bottom line? What was the resolution that occurred after you had this discussion with the Wells Fargo bank employee? What happened? Were you compensated for your loss? You said you went 2 days without food because you could not access your funds from the bank while you were traveling. Because we all know if you have a debit card and you travel to another state and you use your card automatically throws up an alert and you're unable to use it. So what did the banks tell you? Were you compensated, or did you just say, I'm sorry, Mr. So-and-so, we apologize and the problem's been fixed? What was the resolution to this?
Well, my phone's going to hang up shortly, so I'll call back if it does. The resolution was they said they were sorry, and that was the end of it, and that's all they could do. As I said, I one time made a mistake and drove into Canada. Now, if this happens to me again, they don't have that in my itinerary. So if I go to any state that they haven't already offered, I can't use my card for any purposes. But since I have so much cash in my pocket, I really don't need to use the card. So when I'm walking through downtown Greensboro or New Haven, Connecticut, and my pants are bulging because of cash that's in my pocket, that's how Wells Fargo is keeping me safe, so that someone could come up and put a knife in my side to steal the money. That's how they're keeping me safe. They're not keeping me safe. They're keeping their money safe.
Well, they don't have any money. It's all fake anyway. We know that. But like I said, Joe, from Meriden, Connecticut, thanks for checking in with us. And Elizabeth from Wallingford, Connecticut, thanks for listening. Bridget from Reedsville. Mike from Wisconsin, I don't know where you were. I was hoping to hear from you tonight. Joe in Sebastian, Florida, I was hoping to hear from you. I did advertise the show, and we will be broadcasting this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, I have a very special guest, and I may have also Dr. Peter Ventura from San Diego, California on the show next Thursday also. So if you want to contribute tonight, or if you have a story to share, if you have a comment, or you want to bring up another subject, now is your chance, and you need to press 1. I only have one caller on the line right now who's pressed 1. I saw 2, but that's a spam caller. I'm not going to connect them. And I see a couple other numbers. So if you want to contribute tonight, this is your chance, and you will get a chance to be heard. So you need to call in now or press 1. The number is 657-383-0616. Press 1. Otherwise, I'm going to start getting ready to wrap up the show. All right. I want to say thank you to BitBanker for calling in tonight. Okay? That was a great story. We all need to understand what we're dealing with the banking institutions today and how the banking institutions are screwing us over, and they promise us we can use our debit card anywhere. You can use this debit card in 10,000 ATMs around the country, and you go and use it, and they turn it off on you. What do? Especially if you're traveling alone or if you don't have any family to contact or call. What do? These are problems we need to address as individuals. The show is called Understanding the Times in which we live in today. We address all the subjects that we face today, one-on-one or together. It doesn't matter. And I really wanted to call, but hang on, actually, this addresses me. Actually, before I hang up tonight, I want to call, folks, I drive a 2014 Ford Mustang, and it started overheating on me, okay? And the air conditioner stopped working. And this happened about 2 months ago, and they fixed the problem, and it's under warranty, of course, and I had to pay a $50 deductible. Well, last week it started doing it again, and I had to send it back to the shop. Now, according to my warranty, I'm entitled to a rental vehicle to compensate me while I'm without my vehicle, my 2014 Mustang that I purchased from Tri-City Ford in Eden, North Carolina. Well, they didn't want to give me a rental. They said it'd only be a day to fix the problem. And here I am 3.5 days later without my vehicle. And, well, of course, I have another vehicle to drive, but that's irrelevant. So I'm going to go ahead and call Tri-City Ford and give a live update to what's going on with my vehicle right now. So I'm going to go ahead and call them.
Thanks for calling Tri-City Ford.
Wanted to press 1. Just please hold. Hey, Tri-City Ford, how you doing? My name is Joseph Gibson. Can you connect me to your service department?
They've already closed for today.
They already closed. Okay. Well, I'm checking on my vehicle. I have a 2014 Ford Mustang there that was broke down, and they were servicing it for the last 3 days. Can you give me an update on that, please?
I cannot, sir. I can have them call you first thing in the morning. I'm not really sure what they had.
All right. Okay, what's first thing in the morning? Tell me a time.
They get here at 8 o'clock.
Okay, can you have them call me tomorrow at 8 a.m., please?
Yes, sir.
All right. What information do you need from me?
Just the best number they can reach you at.
My phone number is 336-419-7236. I've been without my car now. Well, all right. Well, I've been without my car now for 3.5 days, and I'm very upset. Very upset.
Okay.
About this. And I was supposed to be provided a rental according to my service agreement, and I have not been given a rental. And so I've been sitting back, trusting you guys to take care of this problem. And here I am, ever since Monday, without my Ford Mustang that I purchased from you guys, and I'm sitting here with no vehicle, and I paid $1,800 for a service agreement that would provide me with a rental, and I called the service agreement the Master Tech last night, Master Tech, and they told me that Ford is supposed to handle that and file a claim so they can provide me with a rental. But Master Tech also told me that I can go rent a car, and then when you guys submit a claim, I could be reimbursed it. But I don't want to I don't have the money to go rent a car right now. I'm in the process of purchasing starting of a business and whatnot. My funds are tied up. And besides, I already paid $1,800 to make sure I was going to get a rental in case my car broke down. So can you help me out here or what?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really I can do, but I mean, I can have the shop manager call you in the morning, and you can let him know what's going on and see if he can, take care of the situation for you pretty quick. Let me get your number one more time, Joseph. I'm texting the manager now. What's your phone number?
Good. My cell number is 336-419-7236.
Okay. All right.
All right. I look forward to hearing from you guys.
I'll have him call you first thing, okay?
All right. Thank you. And what's your name, sir?
Jeff Short.
Jeff Short. All right.
Uh-huh.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeff.
You're very welcome, sir.
All right. Take care. Okay. Let's make sure he's off the line here before I get to another person here that's just connected. Hang on. I want to make sure he's off the line. All right, let me mute him just to make sure there. Okay, I've got someone else here who wants to get on, I think, area code 980 before we wrap up the show. So go ahead, area code 98. All right, I lost Tri-City Ford. Good, I'm glad. I didn't want them really listening. And all right, 980, go ahead. You're on with me. Understanding the times we live in, Joseph Gibson. I'm doing all right. What can I do for you?
Oh, well, I just came on to the show. I lost track of time. I was trying to catch you at 6, but I caught the tail end of it. You guys were talking about the banking industry.
The banking industry, yes. Yes, we were, yes.
I mean, what specifically were you guys talking about, or just general conversation?
Well, it was general conversation, but the banking industry, we were talking about Wells Fargo and how they created felonious accounts, checking accounts, and now have been fined by the government. And if that was you or I, we'd be sitting in prison for 20 years. We know that. But I had an individual from Meriden, Connecticut, who was live on the air, and he was telling us how disgusted he was with Wells Fargo But it was general conversation. But I am a staunch individual, thinking and believing, and I've studied the Federal Reserve, the criminal Federal Reserve that has enslaved the people across this country for many, many years. So,
exactly.
But if you've got a comment on that, or if you have a story, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, I was just what caught my attention when you guys were talking about like local municipalities making budgets, and then all of a sudden they got more money than they started off with. Well, as far as my understanding, as far as like where the government and your local governments, your federal government or state governments, where they get their resources from is out of our treasury accounts. So
okay.
So we are the sureties for whatever resources they get from the international bankers or whatever loans they get for the resource they need to run the local or state.
Okay, yeah, that hits home. That hits home with what you're saying, the Federal Reserve. You're right. We're the slave labor. You're right.
Exactly.
We're the chattel. Yes. Go ahead.
And as far as the debt goes, our debts are supposed to be satisfied according to House Joint Resolution 192 because we are the sureties that's already pledged our labor and all our property to get the loan. So as far as debt goes, we are not even supposed to have
very
debt.
much. Thank you very much. Someone who understands House Resolution 192. Very good.
So
I've spoken about this many times. Go ahead.
So I think the issue is like you were saying, all these the obvious. Everyone knows the problem, and that's the obvious. Everyone keeps stating. I think, like you said, we keep talking about the negative and the problems that's going to get into our subconscious and block us from working on solutions. I think the conversation now needs to be what's the solution to all this stuff that's going on, because everyone knows the problem.
Thank you.
Everyone's been affected by it.
10 years ago, tell me, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, you started talking about end the Fed, right? What would happen? They would think you're nuts, right?
Exactly.
but today we know the problem. So tell me,
exactly,
what solution? What would you recommend as a solution? Give me your opinion, because all opinions are very important.
Exactly. Well, this is as far as the system that we live in. I mean, like I said, it's very deep. But I mean, with time and energy, I mean, we spend a lot of time and energy doing nothing. So I mean, with the time and energy, we could open up the laws or whatever the laws or the statutes that they pass and find our remedy inside of those. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take studying, because the only reason they're not brought up for treason is the simple fact that they left a remedy. Now, it might not be in plain English. They're not going to tell you about it, but it is in there. Just like the House Joint Resolution. You know what I'm saying? They don't tell us about it, but our remedy is in there. That's why we're not supposed to have to pay debt. That's why we're not supposed to have to pay double, because once they send you a presentment and you paying for it, you're paying double, because once you sign, they already turned that negotiable instrument into the Federal Reserve and got, if it's not a restricted endorsement, then they got 10 times. Or if you understand and give them a restricted endorsement, they still got the amount that supposedly was loaned out. So when you actually pay a debt from your own resources, you're paying twice.
That's right. Hey, you're obviously very educated and you understand the system. But do you see what the international bankers are doing to us today? They're confusing us with the social issues, issues in this country. Meanwhile, what I said in this program, thank you. And meanwhile, what I said in this program, we're all slaves to the Federal Reserve, because we have to barter with this money. We have no choice.
Ooh. And we're sitting here fighting amongst each other, whether it's so-called black people, so-called white people. We sitting here been hating each other for years, and we both slaves. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I agree with you 100%. Now, listen, we all know there are bad people out there on both sides that hate individuals and hate each other no matter what. But the bottom line is, we all want to live, obviously, unless you're a complete psychopath, And you want to commit suicide and just go hurt people. But the bottom line is we all want to live and be happy and support our families and live our life. And like the Constitution it says, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, we all know the Constitution was written during... Yeah, you're still on. Go ahead, Bitbanker. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, well, he mentioned about negotiable instruments, and he's absolutely right. When you're arrested and you have a bond, the higher the bond, the more they trade on Wall Street. They enrich themselves. When you buy a vehicle, you do not receive the title to that vehicle. Your state does, and they turn that into a negotiable instrument that they trade with. Anything you do is turned. Even when you're born, your birth certificate is turned into a negotiable instrument, and we're all fooled, or not all of us, but many of us are fooled.
Well, yeah. At first we are until we wake up, until we have to search out for the remedy. Yeah, pretty much. But like you said.
Well, I'm glad someone who has knowledge called in tonight. That was able to confirm what Bitbanker and I were talking about, because we did have many people on the line and quite a few in the chat room. And I just want to say, and I just saw Mike from Wisconsin tune in, and he should have really tuned into this because this was an important conversation. But, sir, you are very knowledgeable, obviously, on the banking system and the birth certificate issue. And you're absolutely right. Instead of white, Hispanics, and blacks killing each other over social issues that are funded by these New World Order scum, devil worshiping, Illuminati, Freemason scum. We should be working together and stop talking about the problem and starting to find solutions together.
Exactly. So, Joseph, did you say you located in Greensboro?
Yes, sir, I am. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm from Lincolnton, North Carolina. I'm probably like maybe an hour 32 minutes, hour and 30.
Okay, wow, that's great. That's great. That's awesome. Cool. That's really good. Lincolnton, great.
So you're on like
Let me give you my
Thursday?
email. Let me give you my email address, and we can converse. But you're always welcome on this program because you're educated, obviously. Very well educated. But go ahead. If you got a pen, I'll give it to you right now because I don't mind giving it over the air. I have Joe Gibson. Joe Gibson is home at yahoo.com. Very simple.
Okay. And
you got it?
I'm Bay Solomon. Yes, I'm Bay Solomon at yahoo.com.
Bay Solomon at yahoo.com. You email me and I will reply to you because you're very knowledgeable. And you know what? People like you and I need to keep our mouths flapping and educating everyone. Black, white, Hispanics, Chinese, purple, who the hell cares? It's the freaking criminal government that is suppressing all of us and the Federal Reserve System because we all want the same damn thing. Tell me something, sir. If you have a wife and children, what do you want? You want the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And you know you can achieve that today, but the only thing holding us back is that damn Federal Reserve.
Oh yeah, I mean those are the basic rights that our Creator meant for us to have. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not anything extra we ask for.
We all know when the Constitution was created, we had slavery. We all know that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and we know, and we had bad people. But if you were to read the Federalist Papers, and if you were to read what the founding fathers of this country really wrote the document, believed in, they hated slavery. They hated it. They really did. Now, I'm not saying there weren't bad white people back then who hated black people. And I'm not saying black people don't hate white people today. But the fact of the matter is, if we were to educate ourselves and understand the root of the problem, there would be a different outcome to what we have going on today in this country.
You see, the powers that be, that they will fuel emotions and feelings to get their agenda across without detection. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because if you look at if you look at the heads of the secret societies, the heads of the conglomerates, the Vatican, all your heads of whatever organization you want to say, they all deal with the same thing. They all deal with astrology. They all deal with astronomy. They all do rituals. So regardless if it's an imam, regardless if it's a rabbi or a 32nd or 33rd degree pastor, they're all doing the same thing and they're all worshiping the same thing. Whereas the masses, we don't get shit. They tell us stuff they want us to hear to keep us roaming around chasing our tail.
Amen. You're absolutely correct. And look, we as different people out there always will disagree. But if you notice in social networks, in communities, among the common laymen out there, when disagreements occur, they can always be worked out. It's when the government gets involved, you start having all these major riots, and you have all the violence where people try to hurt each other. And that's where you get the wars. And you get the wars where we kill each other over what? Money.
The media is like just like a weapon. You know what I'm saying? When something happens, no one would even know about it for you to get riled up if it wasn't for the media. That's what I'm trying to tell you, sir. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
The alternative media that we have available to us today, you see, these evil bastards, they give us a chance. They do. They give us a chance to work this out and get on the same page, but we don't take advantage of it because we're ignorant. And people like you who are not ignorant are willing to step forward. And the alternative media, we have got to stick together and put the truth out there, and educate our fellow brothers and sisters. We have to. And that's key. And I want to thank Bitbanker. I don't know if he wants to jump in here. Bitbanker, are you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. And there's a little bit of truth in every lie. And what they do is they own the media, so they tell us what we want to hear. For instance, Obama gets on and he says there's one thing we can all agree: we all hated the bank bailout. But in 2008, 2009, when Bernanke, Helicopter Ben Bernanke, they called him Helicopter Ben Bernanke because he was going to fly around in a helicopter and drop $100 bills all over the United States. They asked him when he was testifying, Mr. Bernanke, can you tell us who you lent trillions and trillions of dollars to? And he said, banks all around the world. And they said, what? They said, tell us which banks. And he said, no. That, supposedly, that's our money, supposedly. But you know what? They can do what they want with it, and they don't. They're not accountable to anyone.
Well, they are in a sense because.
Oh yes, they are.
We all have.
They don't know it yet, though.
We all have a treasury account that's set up for us, but they just don't tell us how to access it. You know what I'm saying? That's the account that we use to discharge and set off our debts. So, at this point, like I said, my focus is, I've been studying for a couple of years. So right now, I'm in the process of applying it and putting it into motion and action. But I think the focus is learning how to navigate in the system. It's like this: either you're gonna deal with the system, or you're gonna go somewhere else or go to another country. You know what I'm saying? That's the only two choices.
Yes, and let me tell you something, sir. Right now. Over several years ago, you can ask Bitbanker. I was doing the same thing you're doing. Please be careful. Make sure you have your documents in order. Because they will stomp on you if you don't. You know that already. I know that.
Yeah, that's why.
Be careful.
Like I say, that's why I'm taking my time with this thing to make sure everything is correct and exact. Because I know if you get caught stepping outside the line once, they will destroy you. And yes, I'm just making sure everything is correct and exact before I actually jump in the water. But
well, good for you. And listen, we had a show about a month ago, America's Remedy, and the Restore America plan also, where they talked about these issues. And several years ago, I addressed it. And I had a gentleman who actually knew how to offset these debts and how to renounce his United States corporate citizenship, believe it or not. And he had two people come to his house and say, listen, you keep doing what you're doing, you and your family are going to die. And he got so scared. He was so scared. He didn't even want to talk to me about it any longer. And which you can understand. Look, you got 3 kids at home, and you're married. You have, you get fear. Look, we all want to live and be happy. We don't. It's hard to sacrifice your life. That's why people who do it for the cause of freedom, no matter what the cause may be at that time, should always be honored. And it's just you're standing up for something righteous right now. You are. You're fighting for something righteous, and God will bless you for that. But be careful. That's what I'm trying to say. That's my advice to you.
Well, see, at this point, like I'm in tune with my spirituality, so I understand that everything in this third dimension is just an illusion. So right now, I'm not really living for today. I'm trying to prepare myself for when I come back, so I have that much less work to do.
Very good.
Because
awesome.
At the end of the day, that's all that really matters,
Look what happened to the guy that made the Liberty Dollar. The guy that made the Liberty Dollar, he was making his own Liberty Dollars out of silver. And you know what? They went in and they closed him down right quick. threw him in jail.
One thing you can guarantee is if you mess with their finance, they're gonna steal some kind of way.
It don't matter if you're black or white, brother. It don't matter if you're black or white. At that time, they're gonna shut you down.
Matter of fact, look at Kevin Trudeau. Let's look at Kevin Trudeau.
What's up with him?
He's a salesman and everything like that, but you know what? He was out to make the money for himself. But let me tell you something about Kevin Trudeau. Kevin Trudeau basically purported the truth as he knew it. Maybe not entirely all correct. They turned him into a scum and scoundrel and threw him in jail because he didn't want to pay a fine.
For the books he was putting out.
Well, that was what they said. That he said you could lose weight easily or something, and they fined him for it.
So the FDA tried to make it sound like he was providing medical advice or something like that. That wasn't approved by them. Something like that. Yeah.
Yep. But Kevin Trudeau really purported some good information. But,
he did.
He was out for himself, but
Hey, we're all out to make money. We can't deny that.
You gotta live. You gotta live.
That's right. We all gotta live. The problem is the let live section. Nobody wants to let you live. Right?
Well,
but listen, hey. Go ahead. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. 980, and then I'll give 203 a couple minutes, and then I'll wrap it up. So 980, go ahead. Say what you got to say, and then we'll go ahead and get ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, of course they don't want us knowing the remedies to get out of our slavery, but I know people who operate in commerce, and they're pretty much left alone. It's people that try to go outside of the bounds. People that don't really study enough and try to go do things, and it's outside of the parameters of what's going on and what was set forth. So of course they're gonna make an example out of you, like I say. But if you just doing it for just to be a private citizen and just for the sake of your family, they're really not gonna mess with you as far as that goes. But if you try to do something extracurricular, you go out here and charge off $1 million homes and live a lavish life, they're gonna come and see about you because obviously that's gonna draw attention. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But
I want to thank you. I want to thank you.
Yo, no doubt.
I want to thank you so much.
Like I said, just when we're in the same area, and like I said, we on a common ground. We might need to get together or see if we can meet somewhere in the middle and just build one day, or set some time aside.
I don't got a problem with that. Hey, listen, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem. Hey, that was a key word, what you just said, because we all got to stick together, and one day we may need each other, one way or the other. Let's hope that day don't come, but we can always prepare for our children at the same time, right?
Oh, yeah.
But thanks for calling. Listen, I broadcast. Listen, you got my email, and listen, I broadcast on Sundays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You seem like a very polite, knowledgeable, respectful individual. I didn't know who you were when you first called in, but you seem like you got knowledge. And I want to give Bitbanker 2 minutes, and then I'll wrap up the show. So, Bitbanker, go ahead real quick.
Well, it's been a very interesting show this evening, especially when the gentleman called in there from Lincolnette or wherever he's at in North Carolina. And it would be nice if I came down there sometime and we all sat down and talked, had coffee, had apple pie, or do whatever we do in North Carolina. And you're absolutely right. You said a key point, just like you said he said a key point. We all need one another. And it's about family. It's about the next generation, because they're the ones that are going to take over. It's about them. It's about helping the children, informing the children, and educating the children so they know what's going on. All fiat currency has failed. It has never survived, and this currency will fail in time too. It may not be in my lifetime or your lifetime, but it will fail. Thank you for a good call.
Thanks. Hey, thanks. And to the two callers, and I know Mike from Wisconsin, I was talking about you earlier. You're tuned in late. I was hoping you'd get Joe from Spanish in Florida. He would have loved this show tonight, too. But we will be on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and these are the subjects that we address on this program. We really do, and everyone's welcome. So tell a friend, hey, you got people that think like you, or like-minded like you, like the gentleman just said, who's a neighbor of mine in North Carolina. Everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why he called in tonight, and who knows? Well, maybe one day, he and I can be friends, and we can all sit down, like Bitbanker said, and we all need each other, one way or the other. Stop paying attention to the hate out there, where everyone's paying attention to social nonsense, because that's not what it's about. Listen, together we stand, divided we fall. Very simple, very easy to figure out. So anyway, thanks for calling in, guys.
Can I get 10 seconds right quick?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing just to sum it up, like I said, no matter, regardless of what race you claim to be, if you're a 14th Amendment citizen, you are property of the United States. And it's as simple as that.
Amen. Very important. That was key, what you just said right there, and we did address that a few weeks ago with America's Remedy. That's key. So this gentleman knows what he is talking about just by stating that right there, because I've addressed this several times on this show. But listen, we will be back on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and and God bless to all of you, and it's good to meet new people out there. It really is. I'm glad it wasn't a controversial show, because we know we get those nut jobs calling in sometimes, but they just need help. Hey, amen, everyone. Right, God bless. Take care. Make sure we all keep in touch.
All right.
Good night.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if we were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you were with us or you were with the terrorists.
But I believe that a lot of gun owners would.
Life is filled with interesting things. That's why I could never commit suicide. I'm having too much fun keeping an eye on you folks, watching what you do. Human behavior. That's what I like. Humans do some really interesting things. Like, besides killing ourselves, we also kill each other. Murder. And we're the only ones who do that, by the way. Humans are the only species on Earth that deliberately kills members of another species for personal gain. For pleasure. Sometimes it's just fun. We're also the only species that deliberately kills members of another species for personal gain. Or pleasure. That's what hunters do. They kill for pleasure. That's us.